Let's dive into the winter of 2024-2025, a season that promises to be anything but ordinary. This year, winter is split right down the middle, with dramatic differences unfolding across the country. From the first snowflakes to the last chilly breeze, the story of this winter is one of contrasts, surprises, and shifting patterns. For some regions, it'll be a classic snowy winter. Think deep drifts, snowmen dotting front yards, and the familiar crunch of boots on icy sidewalks. Cities and towns in the northern tier and parts of the Midwest may see frequent snowfalls, creating postcard-perfect scenes and plenty of opportunities for winter sports and cozy nights by the fire. But for others, winter may feel like it barely arrived at all. Across the southern states and some coastal areas, mild temperatures could dominate, with only fleeting hints of frost and far less snow than usual. For these places, winter might mean more rain than snow, and outdoor activities could continue almost uninterrupted. The main driver behind this split? A major shift in the Pacific Ocean. We begin the season under the influence of La Niña, which typically brings cooler and wetter conditions to some regions. But by midwinter, forecasters expect a transition to ENSO neutral, a state where neither La Niña nor El Niño dominates. This transition is key, as it sets the stage for changing weather patterns across North America. As the Pacific shifts, so does the jet stream, the high-altitude river of air that guides storms and cold fronts. This change will reshape the jet stream's path, steering storms and cold air in new, sometimes unexpected directions. Some areas may suddenly find themselves in the storm track, while others enjoy a break from winter's worst. But there's more to the story. The polar vortex and Arctic oscillation are wild cards, capable of sending blasts of frigid air deep into the heart of the country. A sudden shift in these patterns could mean a brief but intense cold snap, even in places that have been mild for weeks. This winter will be dynamic, with evolving threats and opportunities for snow. One week could bring a blizzard, the next a thaw. The only certainty is change, and staying informed will be more important than ever. Whether you're hoping for snow days, planning winter getaways, or just want an easy commute, this forecast matters. The weather will shape our routines, our travel, and even our moods. We'll break down temperatures, precipitation, and the science behind it all, so you can be ready for whatever winter throws your way. From the latest models to expert insights, we'll help you understand what's coming and why. Preparation starts with knowing what's coming. Stock up on supplies, check your heating systems, and get ready to adapt as the season unfolds. A little planning now can make all the difference when winter weather hits. So, as we stand on the edge of a winter full of possibilities, let's get into the details and see what this remarkable season has in store. Winter's already making its mark, even before December. Early snowpack is building in the northern Rockies, Plains, and Canada, setting the stage for potent cold air. La Niña is driving this early start, pushing the jet stream north and sending storms into the Pacific Northwest and northern states. Meanwhile, the south stays mild and dry, with the jet stream bypassing the region. This sharp contrast is the opening act of our two-halves winter. The early snowpack acts as a refrigerator, strengthening cold air masses for future storms. The clash between cold north and warm south will fuel major winter events. What's happening now is just the first chapter of a complex winter story. The temperature outlook for this winter is a tale of two regions. The northern and western U.S., from Seattle to Chicago, will see colder than average conditions. The southern tier, from the southwest to the mid-Atlantic, is set for a milder winter. Seasonal averages mean fewer deep freezes in the south, but cold snaps and snowstorms are still possible. The northern jet stream will funnel cold air into the north, while the south stays under warmer influence. The Central Plains and Ohio Valley will be the battleground for the most volatile weather. Knowing which side of the line you're on is key to preparing. Even in a mild winter, surprises can happen. Stay alert for changing conditions. Precipitation will be just as divided as temperatures. The Midwest, Northern Plains, and Northeast are in for above-average snowfall, especially as winter progresses. The Great Lakes will see intense lake-effect snow, with feet of accumulation possible. The West and Southwest face a drier season, raising concerns for water resources and ski resorts. The Ohio Valley is the main battleground. Expect more ice than snow, with multiple rounds of freezing rain possible. The southern tier, from Arizona to Florida, will be drier than normal, increasing drought risk. Each region faces unique threats, From nor'easters in the northeast to ice storms in the central U.S., prepare for your region's specific challenges. The Pacific Ocean is the engine behind this winter's forecast. Its vast expanse and dynamic systems play a crucial role in shaping weather patterns across the globe. This year, the transition from La Niña to ENSO neutral conditions is particularly significant. We start with La Niña, which keeps the jet stream north and the cold bottled up in Canada. This phenomenon typically results in colder and wetter conditions in the northern regions, while the southern areas experience warmer and drier weather. The jet stream acts like a barrier, preventing the cold air from moving southward. By midwinter, a shift to ENSO neutral is expected. This flattens the jet stream and lets cold air plunge south. This change can lead to more variable weather patterns, with the potential for significant temperature swings and increased storm activity. The flattening of the jet stream allows cold Arctic air to move further south, impacting a larger portion of the United States. This transition is a game-changer, opening the door for major snow events in the Midwest and Northeast. Cities that typically see moderate snowfall could experience more intense and frequent snowstorms. The increased cold air, combined with moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, creates the perfect conditions for heavy snowfall and blizzard-like conditions. ENSO neutral brings more variable, less predictable storm tracks, perfect for nor'easters. These powerful storms can develop rapidly and bring heavy snow, strong winds, and coastal flooding to the eastern United States. The unpredictability of storm tracks during ENSO neutral conditions makes it challenging for forecasters to provide accurate long-term predictions. The clash of cold air and Atlantic moisture could trigger explosive storms. When these two elements meet, the result can be intense and rapidly developing weather systems. These storms can bring significant snowfall, ice, and strong winds, creating hazardous travel conditions and potential power outages. The early season favors the north and west. The second half could turn active for the east. As the winter progresses, the shift to ENSO neutral conditions will likely lead to more widespread and impactful weather events across the eastern United States. This could mean a late-season surge in snowstorms and cold weather for areas that have been relatively mild earlier in the season. This ENSO shift is the master switch for the winter's biggest weather swings. The transition from La Niña to ENSO neutral conditions will dictate the overall pattern and intensity of winter weather across the country. Understanding this shift is key to preparing for the potential impacts on daily life, travel, and infrastructure. Stay tuned as the pattern evolves. Meteorologists will be closely monitoring the changes in the Pacific Ocean and the resulting weather patterns. Regular updates and forecasts will help keep you informed and prepared for whatever winter has in store. The second half of winter could be the most impactful. As the season progresses and the ENSO neutral conditions take hold, we could see some of the most significant and memorable weather events of the year. Stay prepared and stay safe. The Arctic is another key player in shaping our winter weather, especially when we look at the polar vortex and the Arctic Oscillation, often abbreviated as AO. These two atmospheric phenomena are like the hidden conductors of the winter symphony, quietly influencing the weather patterns that reach us far to the south. While we often think of the Arctic as a remote, frozen landscape, its influence stretches much farther than most people realize. The polar vortex is a vast, swirling mass of cold air that typically sits high above the North Pole. When the vortex is strong and stable, it acts like a barrier, keeping the coldest air locked up in the Arctic. But when the vortex weakens or becomes disrupted, often due to changes in atmospheric pressure or sudden warming events in the stratosphere, it can wobble and split, sending frigid Arctic air plunging southward into North America, Europe, and Asia. This is when we experience those bone-chilling cold snaps that can catch even seasoned winter veterans off guard. The Arctic Oscillation, or AO, is closely linked to the behavior of the polar vortex. When the AO is in its negative phase, the jet stream, an invisible river of fast-moving air high above the surface, becomes wavier and more erratic. This waviness allows cold Arctic air to escape its usual confines and surge much farther south than normal, increasing the risk of Arctic outbreaks and extreme winter weather events. This winter, meteorologists are watching for several periods when the AO could turn negative. Each of these periods raises the odds of the polar vortex becoming disrupted, which in turn increases the likelihood of dramatic temperature swings and sudden snowstorms. These shifts can happen quickly, sometimes with only a few days' warning, making it challenging to prepare in advance. One of the classic results of a disrupted polar vortex, and a negative AO, is the Alberta Clipper, a fast-moving, low-pressure system that races across the continent from Canada. These storms are notorious for bringing quick bursts of snow, gusty winds, and sharp temperature drops. While they may not always produce huge snow totals, their speed and intensity can create hazardous travel conditions and catch communities off guard. Even in a winter that's forecast to be milder overall, just one major polar vortex event can bring record-breaking cold and significant snowfall to regions that might otherwise expect a quiet season. These events can strain infrastructure, disrupt daily life, and create memorable winter moments that people talk about for years. Because these polar vortex disruptions and AO shifts are difficult to predict more than a week or two in advance, it's important to stay informed, regularly checking weather updates, listening to meteorologists, and being aware of changing forecasts can help you stay one step ahead of the next big winter event. Ultimately, the Arctic holds the key to our most extreme winter weather. Its icy grip can reach far beyond its borders, shaping the winter experiences of millions of people each year. Understanding how the polar vortex and Arctic oscillation work gives us valuable insight into why winter can be so unpredictable. So, as the season unfolds, keep an eye out for sudden cold snaps and headline-making storms. These dramatic events are often the result of invisible forces at work high above the Arctic, reminding us of the powerful connection between distant regions and our own backyards. Flexibility and preparation are essential for getting through winter's surprises. By understanding the role of the Arctic, the polar vortex, and the Arctic oscillation, you'll be better equipped to handle whatever this winter has in store. Ice is the season's biggest threat for the Ohio Valley, Missouri, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Here, cold northern air meets warm Gulf moisture, creating prime conditions for freezing rain and major ice storms. Even a thin layer of ice can cripple travel and bring down trees and power lines. Heavy ice can cause widespread, long-lasting power outages and dangerous conditions. Residents should prepare emergency kits and have a plan for extended outages. This winter, ice, not snow, may be the region's most disruptive hazard. As of late October, the winter pattern is already taking shape. Storms are bringing rain and mountain snow to the Pacific Northwest, while thunderstorms fire up in the south-central states. The east remains chilly but quiet for now. A back-to-back pattern of low-pressure systems is keeping cold air locked in across the north. This setup reinforces early snowpack and sets the tone for the first half of winter. What you see outside now is a preview of the months ahead. The dominant themes are already in motion. This winter won't be one-size-fits-all. Preparation depends on your region. Northern Plains and Northwest brace for cold and snow. Check your heating and winterize your vehicle. Midwest and Northeast expect above-average snow, especially in the Great Lakes and New England. Be ready for travel disruptions. Ohio Valley, focus on ice storm prep, trim trees, assemble emergency kits, and plan for outages. South and Southwest expect a milder, drier winter. Conserve water and watch for drought. The battle between cold and mild, the Pacific transition, and the polar vortex all promise a season of surprises. Stay informed, stay prepared, and we'll keep you ahead of every storm.